With no further ado, let's begin chapter 2. Achar hadvarim ha'ileh kishoch Hamas hamelech Achashverosh. Zachar es vashti ve'is asher osasa ve'is asher nigzar aleo. So achar hadvarim ha'ileh is actually machlokus in the Gemara as the difference between achar and acharei. Sometimes the pasuk says achar hadvarim ha'ileh, and other times it says acharei hadvarim ha'ileh. And there's an argument as to which one means that it happened close to and which one happened further away. So some people say that achar means immediately after or closely after, and others say that achar actually is muflag, which means further. But whichever way you go, it was after these things. So then you would say, well, I know it's chronologically after, just by virtue of the fact that you're telling me after. So then obviously, I would assume by default it would be after. Why are you pointing it out? So whenever the Torah tells you achar hadvarim ha'eleh, what it's saying is that these events were causal and related to the events that came after. It's not telling you chronology; it's telling you causation. So. This comes after. So achar hadvarim ha'eleh, after these things that we just said in chapter 1, kishoch Hamas hamelech Achashverosh. Now kishoch means when it died down, or as it died down, like it died down. It doesn't say bishoch. As I'll point out, it does not say bishoch Hamas hamelech Achashverosh, when the anger of the king Achashverosh went away, because it didn't go away. It was kishoch, like it went away, which means he relaxed a little bit, but deep down, the man was still very, very deeply troubled. Zachar es Vashti, he remembered Vashti, ve'is asher asasa, and what she did, ve'is asher nigzar aleo, and what happened to her. Now you understand, the guy is not such a blackout drunk that he doesn't remember his wife. Obviously who knows who she is, so what do you mean, Zachar es Vashti, ve'is asher asasa? So Gemara explains that he had all of a sudden a totally new context to what it is that happened to her. Because he woke up from his drunken stupor, totally blacked out, and realizes, oh my God, 1 second, what just happened? I had my wife killed. Why did I have her killed? Because she wouldn't show up buck naked. Well, that's interesting. She shouldn't do that. So it probably makes sense that she said no. And 1 second, it happened on a Saturday. Well, wait a minute. Zachar es Vashti ve'is asher asasa ve'is asher nigzar aleo. He remembered Vashti and what she did. Says the Gemara, what did she do? So it says that she used to take the Jewish women, umafshitan arumos, and she would strip them naked and have them do ve'osa b'hen avoda b'Shabbos, and she had them do avoda on Shabbos. And therefore, Achashverosh is like, 1 second, Vashti died because she wouldn't show up naked on a Saturday. And he's like, whoa, that's crazy, because I remember she used to do this. Vayomru na'arei hamelech mishar sav, and the king's young lads, Na'arei HaMelech, the lads of the king, Mishar Sav, his body men, the guys that like Misharet means to serve. They serve him, but not in the way the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of the Interior serves him. Like this is your dude. These are the guys that are with you. These are your friends. These are your pals. So Na'arei HaMelech, Mishar Sav, they say to him, Yivakshu LaMelech ne'aros bisulos tovos mar'ed. The king should request, Yivakshu, they should request for the king, Na'aros bisulos, young virgins, tovos mar'ed, that are very pretty. And he's like, yes, we should do exactly that. That's the best idea I've ever heard in my life. Now, here's the thing. So the Gemara points out that there's a massive difference. This has happened actually twice in recorded history, when the king calls out to all the kids in the nation and says, hey, I want you to find me the most beautiful women and bring them here. This happened twice. Once with Achashverosh and previously with David HaMelech. And the difference is, well, the difference couldn't be any more big, because it says that by David HaMelech, every father was like, oh, I hope my daughter wins. With Achashverosh, it's like, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide everybody, right? You remember that. So, it's terrible. Now, why? So you think, well, because we're Jews. We're Jews. So when we talk about our religion, our guy is the good guy, their guy is the bad guy, so we give, therefore, no, that's not what it's saying at all. The difference could not be starker. When it comes to David HaMelech, they search for Na'ara B'Sula, which means they're looking for one young, beautiful virgin. That's not what Achashverosh is looking for. Yivakshu LaMelech Na'aros B'Sulos. He's not looking for one. He's looking for all of them. He wants all of them. Well, guess what? If you're a dad to a girl who just so happens to be a beautiful virgin in the kingdom of Achashverosh, you know that there's going to be another 500,000 girls that are going to be paraded and tried out in the rape contest, which we're getting to, because I know that everyone likes to dress up like Queen Esther. All the little girls want to be Queen Esther. Queen Esther is the most, oh my gosh, the saddest victim. It's terrible. It's absolutely horrible what happens to her. So why do the Na'arei HaMelech come up with this idea? Notice the pasuk goes out of its way to stress to you that the people who come up with the idea are the Na'arei HaMelech. They're the lads of the king. Well, why do you think they come up with it? And the answer is, because math. Here's the math. If you say, how many tens? I don't mean 9.5s. Because 9.5s, there are a lot of modeling agencies out there. No 9.5s. How many tens are there in the United States of America? The answer is, I don't know. Okay? I don't know, but I'm guessing 10,000. I don't know. There's There's 400 million people in the country. You guys are better at actuarial stuff than I am, but is it 5,000? Is it 5,000? Let's say it's 5,000. Can we make 5,000? You give me 5,000. He's got 127 countries. That's a lot of girls. That's a lot of girls. Which means, and where are they all going to be brought? They're all going to be brought to Shushan. Well, guess what? He can't possibly get through all of them. Like Wilt Chamberlain could not get through all of the girls, which means that a Shushan 4 is a world 12. And who's going to get the spillover? Narei HaMelech Mishar Sov. Shushan is about to be the greatest city in the world. And the king appoints appointees in all of the countries under his empire. And every single beautiful virgin who is young is brought El Shushan Habirel Beis Hanashim to Shushan the capital, to the house of the girls. El Yad Heges Risamel Shomer Hanashim V'nason Tamrukehem. And they were brought to Hegeh, who is the Saris. The word Saris is double meaning. It means official and it means snip. Because if you are in charge of the girls, you are, what's his name, Varus. You're Varus, right? We don't allow men who are intact to walk around the harem, right? We don't trust them. So you have to be a eunuch. So there's a price that comes with being in charge of the Beis HaNashim, and it's not a price you want to pay. And his name was Hegeh. And V'nason Tamru Kehen. And then V'nason, it was given to them Tamru Kehen. The word Tamru Kehen means marak. Soup, because they go into a soup. It's literally what they're going to do with them. So Rashi says, "Umorak v'shutaf b'mayim." The word marak means washed through. So he's not just bringing in the most beautiful girls. No. He's going to put them through the car wash, and the car wash is not like a 12-hour, scrub down. No, this is a 12-month scrub down. That's what's happening. And the reason that he has to be vayafkir hamelech pikidim is because everyone hides their daughters. People were not showing up. So they had to appoint the Einsatzgruppen to go out and find all of them. And the girl who the king likes will reign instead of Vashti. And this was a great idea in the eyes of the king, and he did this. And the Gemara points out, it's unbelievable. When he wants to kill Vashti, first he has to talk to Kol Yodei Das Vadin. He has to talk to all the attorneys. He's got to talk to the spin doctors. He's got to talk to his political consultants. When it's time for him to round up every single available virgin in the country, who makes the decision? He does, by himself. You say, how does that happen? And the answer is because they gave him the keys to the castle when they allowed him to kill his wife for no reason. They made him an absolute monarch. So now guess what? Now you're going to pay the price. And the price is going to be your daughter and your niece and your sister and everybody. Ish Yehudi Haya b'Shushan Habirah. There was a Jewish man in Shushan, the capital, Shmo Mordechai, and his name is Mordechai ben Yair ben Shimi ben Kish Ish Yemini. Now, he is a Yehudi man. He is a man of Judah. The Gemara's like, liar. No, he's not. He's not a man of Judah. He's a man of Benjamin. What are you talking about? He's Ish Yemini. He comes from Binyamin. He does not come from Yehuda. Why are you calling him Ish Yehudi? So the Gemara gives various answers. One answer is because actually his father was from Binyamin, but his mother was from Sheva Yehuda. And actually it's because everyone was fighting over him. Because the Yehuda people were saying, he comes from us. Because if not for the fact that David, Hamelech, let Shimi ben Gera live when he really should have killed him, then you never would have had this Mordechai guy, and therefore you should thank us. And then the Binyamin people were saying, what are you talking about? If not for the fact that we had our people, that's why we get Mordechai. Meanwhile, you know what the Jews are saying? The Jews are saying, "Oh my gosh! If not for the two of you, you're absolutely the worst. If not for Yehuda, if not for this guy, this Mordechai guy, we never would have had Haman. It's all your fault. It's all your fault that we have Haman. You say that you're such a great guy. You're not a great guy. So the Gemara shows you the dichotomy that Mordechai, he had some friends, but he didn't have so many friends. He had some friends. There were plenty of people that were very, very upset at him, and they saw him as like, you're the guy who sicked Hitler on us. These people were not fans of Mordechai at all. The reason that it says he is Yehudi here is because he is Kofer Ba'avodah Zarah. And anybody who is Kofer Ba'avodah Zarah, who denies idolatry and paganism, is called the Yehudi. So he is like the symbol of Yehuda. And he was in Shushan Arbira. His name is Mordechai, the son of Yar, the son of Shimi, the son of Kish. Now the Gemara darshans each one of these things to tell you that this is what he did. It's not only that he had a father like this. The truth is he had many such fathers, and we're skipping generations. We're skipping generations in this list. So the reason that it tells you these is because it's saying he connected with these things. So Ben Yair, Sheheir name Shel Yisrael B'Tefillah. He lightened. The word Yair means to light. He enlightened the Jewish people in their eyes. Ben Shim'i. Ben Shim'i is the one who heard. So it really refers to Shim'i Ben Gera, but it's saying Ben Shim'i, he's the reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu heard our davening. Ben Kish, Zehikish al Daltos Tefillah, that he banged. To be Makish means to pound. He pounded on the doors of davening. So that's why he's known. It says he's Mukhtar B'ni Muso. He's crowned with his names. All of these names of Mordechai. So the pshat's like this. Were those his fathers? Yes, they were his fathers. But again, he had many, many generations that we're not listing. What we're saying is you don't come from nowhere. You don't come from nowhere. If we would put you up and say these are your techunos, these are your traits, your strengths, your weaknesses, it's like, well, you have a very small sample size because you didn't know your great-great-grandfather. You didn't know him. And by the way, it wasn't a him. There were several. You had a bunch of great-great-grandfathers that you're not aware of. But there are pieces of them in you. So if you took this person who had that kind of historical perspective, who was able to look, he says, let me tell you who this Mordechai character is. He didn't show up from nowhere. He's Ben Yair, Ben Shim'i, Ben Kish, Ishimini. Asher Hagla Mirushalayim. That was exiled from Jerusalem. Im Hagolah Asher Haglasa, Im Yechanya Melech Yehuda. In the exile that was exiled with Yechanya, because the truth is there were several Judean exiles into Babylonia. The one that Mordechai went with is with Yechanya, king of Yehuda, Asher Hegla Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel. They were kicked out by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Bavel. The Gemara says Asher Hegla means Asher Hagla Mirushalayim. He self-exiled. Mordechai did not have to exile. He was not kicked out of Judea because that was a previous exile. He didn't go out when all the Jews were sent. He went out voluntarily. And there's a lot of theories as to why. And one of the most prevalent theories is because he had to counter the politics that were being done in the court of Persia. Who do you think was the big anti-Jewish, the ICJ, the Hague of the day? Who's your UNRWA of the day? It's Haman. It's Haman. Haman and his kids are the ones who are Kosef. So they're writing the original white papers. Mamish what they're doing. The Navi says in Sefer Daniel, Kosav Sitna, they wrote, Mamish means they wrote declarations against us in the government, and they lobbied Koresh and Daryavesh and Achashverosh to not build the Beis HaMikdash, despite the fact that the Persian monarchy had allowed the Jews to go back, and they lobbied very hard against it. So Mordechai finds himself in Shushan Abira. Why? Because he wants to be, because he's going to lobby for the Jewish people. Vayhi Omenas Hadassah, and he is adopting Hadassah. He Esther Bastodo. She is Esther, the daughter of his uncle. Ki ein la avaim, because she has no father and mother. V'hanara yifas torah v'tovas mareh, and the lass is very pretty and exceedingly good looking. Uvemos avia v'ima l'kacha Mordechai lo levas. And when her dad and mom died, Mordechai took her as a daughter. Now this is a very strange pasuk because it's redundant. So the Gemara points out, why do you have to tell me ki ein la avaim? She has no father or mother. Uvemos avia v'ima, and in the death of her father and mother, l'kacha Mordechai lo levas, Mordechai took her as a daughter. How many times do you want to tell me in one sentence that she has no father or mother? You told me the first time, I heard you the first time, I don't require a second time. Says the Gemara, because what that means is that her father died. It's not the pshat that she doesn't have a father or a mother. That's not the pshat. The pshat is she never had a father or a mother. Ki ein la'ava means she's an orphan. She's an orphan. Okay, so so my father, he should live and be well. His parents are no longer alive, so he does not have a father, he does not have a mother, but he very much had a father and a mother. Esther never had a father and a mother because her father died immediately after conception and her mother died immediately upon childbirth. So the second yitor of ki ein la of uvamos avia v'ima, says the Gemara, is telling you that she literally never experienced what it is to have a father or a mother. Never ever had it in her life. She's Oliver Twist. No, she's worse than Oliver Twist. And she's very beautiful. And when they died, Mordechai took her as a daughter. And the Gemara says levas, which means as a daughter, is a double language because it also means labayis, that he took her as a wife. Now this is something we don't talk often about in the Megillah because it's kind of yucky and it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because, like the Gemara is saying, 1 second, so she's with Achashverosh, but she's also Mordechai's wife, and Mordechai is actively sending her to Achashverosh with all that implies. So, it's a very, very uncomfortable truth of the Megillah, but the Megillah is full of uncomfortable truths. And Vayihibi Shamad Melech Vidaso, and it was when it was heard the word of the king and his command, and when lots of girls were getting taken to Shushan, the capital, to the hands of Haggai, and Esther was taken. Now the Malbim points out over here that the reason that the pasuk has to retell you, and it was Vayihi, and it was Bishamad Melech Vidaso, when the matter of the king and his decree had been heard. It's like, what do you mean when the matter of the decree had been heard? I understand it. You already said it, so everybody heard it. Like, we know that Achashverosh is very thorough in his commands. He knows how to get everybody. He knows how to get the marketing out. Yeah, he's got the tickety-tocketies. He's getting it there. So what do you mean when they heard? So Malbim points out that Mordechai did his very, very darndest to hide Esther so that they wouldn't take her. And that means that after the original proclamation, he succeeded in keeping her under the floorboards for however long it took. And then finally, it started to get too much pressure in Shushan, and then she got taken. And she is taken to Haggai, the master of the brothels. And the lass is very good in his eyes. And she lifted kindness in his eyes. Now you see the difference between Vatitav Hanara be'einav and Vatisa Chesed lefanav, because one you're talking probably about the outside, and the other you're talking about the inside. One is the way that he feels about her in terms of what she looks like, and the other is how he feels about her in terms of how she is. And it's a very, very powerful combination. And he rushes the soup. He doesn't just get her the stuff. No. He has Bobby Brown rush down to make an in-person visit. Vayivahel, a behala, which means that he rushes the stuff, tamrukea, her soups, vesmanoseha, and all her gifts, lasas to give her, veisheva hanearos, and the 7 ladies in waiting, haru yoslas islami beis hamelech, who are worthy to give her from the house of the king, vayishanea vesnarosela to beis hanashim, and she was treated differently for good from the entirety of the harem. Now you understand when it says that she has Sheva Ne'aros, why would some girl, there's 50,000 girls living in this place. It's a whole compound. So like, what's pshat? They all get girls? No, of course they don't get girls. That's the point. She gets girls because Haggai has her tapped to be the winner from the very beginning. And not only does he give her 7 girls, but it says, Haru Yoslos Eslami Beis HaMelech. He gives her ladies in waiting, mamish from the house of the king. So she's getting, the daughter of the marquis, and the daughter of the local lord, and the daughter of the duke. Like, these are the people who are her ladies in waiting. Because Haggai sees that this girl is very, very different. It's going to happen for her. So this is what he does. Now, also, the Gemara says that she was able, since she had 7 different ladies in waiting, she knew what day of the week it was. And then she knows when Shabbos is. Because remember, these girls, it's a Vegas casino. You don't know when it's day. You don't know when it's night. You don't know the date of the month. You don't know the day. You have no idea. You're in the clutches of Haggai. That's it. This is your life now. So she had Sheva Na'aros, and she was able that way to know which day it was, and therefore to know when Shabbos is. Now the Gemara also says, Ve'esmano seha, that they gave her food. What kind of food did they give her? So the Gemara has a 3-way machlokas. It's so gishmak. So one says, they gave her kosher food, mamish, star K, chalav Yisrael, pas Yisrael, the Yashan, the whole Nelo Chashav Shvius, right? The badats came. That's one pshat. The other pshat is they gave her kaldi the chaziri. They're the best, juiciest bacon fried in butter. They gave her the best stuff that you give the Swedish people. And then the other one says, you know what they gave her? They gave her zeronim. They gave her seeds like probiotics, so to speak. So there's 3 different things but obviously they wanted her to be very, very healthy. So there's 3 different ways of keeping her healthy. One, they gave her kosher food and she's happy and she's healthy. The other, no, they gave her the best pork in the world and that kept her healthy and happy. And the other one says, no, they had all these macrobiologists come and do up a whole work. Lo yigida Esther es amaves moladta. Esther did not say her people or her birth, ki Mordechai tzivo haleh asher lo tagid, because Mordechai commanded her not to. Now you understand that this is not one thing, it's 2 things. It doesn't say, Esther didn't say she was Jewish. That's what we teach our daughters. Like, Esther never said she was Jewish. That's true, but that's only half the truth. That's Amma. That's her people. What's Moladta? She's not just Jewish, she's royal. She's literally royal. She descends from Avichail, which means she comes from Shaul, which means she's a descendant of the Jewish king, which we know was the whole reason that this happened in the first place, because this is mamish why we have Agag and Amalek, because Shaul failed to kill Agag. That was her grandfather's mistake, which is going to come later, so that she'll be able to rectify it. So she didn't tell anyone, A, that she's Jewish, and B, that she has nobility in her blood, because Mordechai told her not to.
So, Rabbi, the kosher food was more of a dietary...
It's unclear. So clearly no one knows she's Jewish, that's for sure. So you could say, well, then why would a Jewish gal be eating kosher food? And the answer is for the same reason that Warren Sapp used to go to Rare. Because it was good. It was just good. You could say perhaps she grew up in the household of Mordechai, so she's used to the kosher food.
But how would they know to give her kosher food?
No, she would have to have asked for it or said this is what. But again, here's the two pieces of information that you have. There's no way that people were able to discern that she was Jewish, and they even had a whiff that she was. That's clearly a fact. So you say, okay, well then how would it be engineered according to the one that says that it was kosher food? However you come up with that understanding. So, and every single day Mordechai would go in front of the courtyard of the women's house to know how Esther's doing and what is happening with her. Now, do you understand that pasuk is? That's wild. Every day Mordechai would walk by the chatzar beis hanashim. What do you think happens to people that make a habit out of walking next to the king's harem? They get killed horribly with a spoon or a cheese grater. It's not a good idea. It's a very, very bad idea, number one. Number two, he's a rabbi. It doesn't look so good. It just doesn't look good. I get it. You're a rabbi. You live in Vegas. You're going to walk up and down the strip. You're going to see some stuff you shouldn't see. But why do you keep walking back and forth in the same place? And we know which place it is. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? So why is it not suspicious from the standpoint of other people? And why does it not look bad from him from a Marsayan perspective, which he's clearly apt to? And the answer is simple, because the pasuk doesn't say mehalech. He didn't go there. Mithalech. Mithalech. He makes himself walking, meaning he's never going there. But he makes sure he passes by every day. So he's never going to the Chatzar Beis HaNashim. Every day I have a meeting in the Wynn. Steve and I have to schmooze. We have a Chavrusashaft. But if I have to go to the Wynn, it's not possible to go to the Wynn without crossing to the Bellagio. So it happens to be that every single day I happen to walk to the Bellagio, no. But since that's never my destination, nobody ever asks, hey, how come Morty's always going to the Bellagio? And so he's never going to the Bellagio. He's always going to the Wynn. He's got business there. So that means that you know two things. Number one, you know that Mordechai is in the palace of the king, in the palace, in the compound. It's a separate compound. So he's allowed there. That's number one, that you know about his status. Number two, he's very diligent to make sure that every day he finds a reason to pass there, but he's never going there. And as it became the turn of each and every girl to go to King Achashverosh, Mikates at the end, Heyosla, that she has had, like the ways of women, 12 months, because that's how long it takes to do all the days of their soups. 6 months in the myrrh oil, and 6 months in the besamim. You can imagine, I'm telling you, the women that were there, they smelled, I don't even know, oilam haba. Unbelievable. They were, you know that store, Lush? That's what's up. This was Lush. So 12 months in Lush, 6 months with the bath bombs, and then 6 months with the oilies. By the way, you should also know that the Gemara says that Shemen Hamor is very dangerous. It's mamish dangerous. It's bad for you. They put them in chemicals. Why would they do that? It's just he doesn't care. He doesn't care. There's actually a theory out there that says, no, it's better because if the girl can survive, she's got good genes. He thinks him and Kanye, they're the same. They're the same guy. And with this, the girl would come to the king. With this, the girl would come to the king. Kol asher, sorry, I got a text and it threw away my text. Here we go, very good. Whatever she would ask for would accompany her from the harem to the king's house, which means, you have to understand, again, there's 50,000 girls. At a certain point, you just have to assume that they all blur into one another. I have students that are in fraternities. I hear the stories. How do you even keep it straight in your head? And the answer is with copious notes. There's a scribe. There's a grading system. This is the Olympics. Number one. Number two. Kol asher tomar yinasin la. Anything she says. Now she has to stand out. She has to distinguish herself. So how does she do that? So again, it's the same thing like the contest. This one learns baton. This one's got the devil's sticks. This one's got the marching band. This one's got the flying monkeys. Each one, and that's fine. That's fine because there's a very good state budget for this. It's not a problem. So whatever she wants, call Asher Tomar. Whatever she likes, she can absolutely have. Bo'erev hiva'a, at night she shows up. Uva boker hishava, and in the morning she returns. El beis anashim sheni, to a second harem. El yad shashgaz, to the hands of Shashgaz. Suris HaMelech Shomer HaPilagshim, who is the eunuch and the officer of the king in charge of the Pilagshim, which means concubines. Lo savo od el HaMelech, kim chafetz bo HaMelech v'nikra b'shem. She's never going to see the king again unless he wants her and asks for her by name, and that's where the copious notes come in. Which mamish means that not only is he taking these people, kidnapping them from their house, they're virgins, he's bedding them after 12 months in a soup, and then he marks them on a piece of paper, and maybe he never sees them again. They can never get married. They can never have a family. It's worse than prima nocta. It's much worse than prima nocta, because it's prima nocta, but you're not allowed, for those of us who haven't watched Braveheart. What that means is, in history, there were certain times in history where, prima nocta means first night. That tibah lahegmon techila. When a person would get married, they would first give her as a gift to the person who was in charge, and that would encourage Englishmen who wouldn't want to live in Scotland to otherwise go to Scotland. It was a perk. Or Greek generals to live in Judea.
Was to increase the gene pool.
Well, yeah, it increases the gene pool and also increases the number of people who are willing to live among the natives. There's all sorts of, yeah.
So how did the Narian
Yeah.
get anything if after...
Because not all of them end up going to the king's house. I mean, remember, they're only taking tens. Anyone who's a 9.5 gets kicked to the curb. That's all good. They're all here. This place is the world's greatest train station. And then remember, they'll never see anybody again. They're thrown away. They're thrown away to live in a harem for the rest of their lives. It's very cruel. It's horribly, horribly cruel. The guy that starts out Ke'ilu, that is women's rights and equality, is a horrible person. Mamash a rape festival. What's that?
He got hung.
Well, yes, he did. That's true. That's very true. Uvagia Torah Esther bas Avichail dod Mordechai, and when it was the turn of Esther, the daughter of Avichail, the uncle of Mordechai, Asher lakach lo levas, that he took as a daughter/wife, lavo el HaMelech, to come to the king, lo viksha davar. She did not ask for a thing. Ki imes asher yomar Haggai svisamel shomer anashim. Only what Haggai, the king's officer, said. But the Esther no sischein be'inei kol ro'eha. And Esther was beloved by all who saw her. Now this pasuk is very special. First of all, lo bikshat davar. She did not ask for a thing. Well, why not? Well, you understand that there's something that distinguishes her from all the girls there, and that's the simple fact that she's the only one who doesn't want to win. She does not want to be the queen. She does not want to ever see this ape ever again. She wants to avoid the whole thing. Please, pretty please don't take me. Which means that 100% of the girls who come in Tasiyah Achashverosh, they know that they have one shot to impress Achashverosh and to stand out enough that they're going to be crowned. And she's like, I just want to never have to think about this ever again. So she asks for nothing because she does not want to win. Now you understand, if you know anything about males and psychology, that which one do you think they want? It's like, so of course he falls in love with her. She's the only girl that doesn't want him. It's like, duh. But she can't help it. She hates him. So she doesn't want anything. So she asks for nothing. Now the problem is, the pasuk gives a qualifier, and the qualifier seems to negate the purpose of the original piece of the statement. It says Esther doesn't take anything except what Haggai tells her to take. So she's like, I don't want anything. And Haggai's like, just take the ear tickler. Trust me, take the ear. Like, but I thought, I don't want to win. So if I don't want to win, why am I taking what Haggai tells me to take? Like, make up your mind. She wants it or she doesn't want it. How can it be? And the answer, I think, is very simple. Listen to the words of the pasuk. Lo biksha davar. She doesn't ask for anything. She doesn't seek anything. Ki imes asher yomar Haggai sris hamelech shomer anashim. Except for what Haggai says. The only thing that Esther is desirous in accumulating in the house of the harem is what? Information. Whatever he says. When Haggai talks, she listens. So she knows what's going on. She's a smart cookie. So it's not that she's taking with her entertainment. She takes Es Asher Yomar Haggai Sris HaMelech. Vatilokach Esther El Ham. Oh, I have to tell you this. This is really, really cool. It's a great Zohar. So it says like this. Whenever it's very famous. Whenever the Megillah says Hamelech and it doesn't say Hamelech HaChashverosh, it means God. Means God. Now, it doesn't only mean God. Like, obviously, it means Chashi, obviously, but there's a double meaning there. Yeah, there's a double meaning. So that means Hamelech is also Hashem. So it says, Uva Hagia Torah Esther bas Avichail dod Mordechai asher lakach lo levas lavo el Hamelech, to come to the king. That means that you're equating God with this horrible rapist? How do you, like, what? That's terrible. It's mamish terrible. So what does that mean? Listen, it's mamish beautiful. Listen. So it says like this. It says like this. I want to read you this Zohar that I have over here. Okay. It says, Kevan de tikkun and de hai alma itaktu baka de kayaos. The way that this world was set up very beautifully. It's set up very, very beautifully. Kidein tikkuni de le'ela mitakne ba. The same way that it's done up there, it's also done here. V'yavi le tori zav in the kudei akasef. Who does it refer to? That you get gold with silver dots, this beautiful, beautiful thing? Esther. Meaning, we're looking for the greatest virgin beauty to be the queen of Persia. Where are we going to find this person? And the Melech is like, I know someone. I know someone. Hashem knows who's going to be the queen of Persia too. He also has an idea about which pretty young girl it should be. He thinks it should be Esther. Because this world is exceedingly beautiful. This world is exceedingly perfect. And therefore, the way that she is designed, there's actually the Zohar talks here also not just about Esther in particular, but rather in the world in general, that the way that the female is designed is in order that it should be beautiful from every angle. So it says that not only there has to be biological realities, meaning we need to make sure that the woman is ideal to carry a child, that she has to be ideal to raise a child and to birth a child. That's also true. So all that is true. But the Zohar continues, it says not only that. It's not only that, she's exceedingly pleasing. She's so beautiful from every angle. Don't believe me? It's Vogue. It's Vogue. We'll get you this angle, we'll get you that angle. Right? So it's mamash a gift that Akash Baruch Hu does to us. So the point is you're saying, 1 second, you're saying it's time for the girl to come to Hashem, and the answer is, yeah, Hashem is sitting there waiting. Good, I'm going to get my girl to be the queen. This is amazing. And Esther is taken to the king in the 10th month, which is Teves, in the 7th year of his kingdom. Now you're going to say, why are you telling me that it was the 10th month? No one cares. It's like, oh, it was July. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, it's October, but that's not the point. Like, why are you telling me this? And the Gemara says, you know why? Because Teves, that's the perfect time that meat, it's the perfect temperature that meat enjoys meat. Meat enjoys meat. If it's too hot, these are the days before air conditioning. The girls who had to go in July, in Persia in July, they didn't have an advantage. Let's just put it that way. This is not an advantage. But going in Teves is mamish an advantage. It says the chodesh, that the basar is nenem and abasar, because the temperature is perfect. So this is HaKadosh Baruch Hu showing you just how he likes to orchestrate things, that you shouldn't think that there's anything left out to chance. No. It's going to be the perfect time of year too. In the 7th year of his reign, which means he's been doing this contest for 4 years. Not bad. Vayehav Megilas Esther mikol hanoshim. And the king loved Esther from all the girls. And she got so much more favor in his eyes than all the virgins. And he puts the crown on her head. And he queens her right there. Which is, again, unheard of. The man, he didn't have her interviewed. He didn't have and there was no opposition research. He made her queen on the spot. On the spot. And the king made a big party. He's good at that. For all of his goons. The party of Esther. And he gave tax praise. And he gave lots of gifts. Now this pasuk sounds very clunky. First of all, the king made a big party. It was the party of Esther. You could have just said the king made a big party, and obviously I know why he made the party. He made the party because of Esther. I would have known that. Secondly, he could have said he made the party of Esther, and then I would have known it was, maybe I wouldn't have known it was big. He had a big party! Yeah! So what it's saying is, no. Why is the king making a big party? The king's making a big party because the king wants to know who Esther is, and he can't find out. So he figures, no problem, I'm going to make a big party. Everybody's going to come, and someone's going to let it slip. And they're going to say, you got our Colombiana. We are so happy that our girl from Medellin was able to win the contest. Or it's the girl from New Delhi. Or it's the people from Canada. It's probably not Canada. But anyway, you get the point. So So it doesn't work. She doesn't say it. Nobody says. So what does he do? He gives tax breaks. He says, now for sure. Now someone's going to step up because this is like, you're talking money. I mean, money talks. You know, party, schmarty, but like definitely money. Still nobody says nothing. He starts giving out gifts because of Esther. So now for sure someone's going to say, you know, she belongs to us. Nobody says nothing. Now this next pasuk is a total non sequitur. And when he got the virgins again, Mordechai Yoshe B'Shar HaMelech, and Mordechai is sitting in the gate of the king, that's a whole sentence. That's an incoherent sentence. I'm going to read it again. It's pasuk yotes. Uvihi kavetz b'sulos shenis, and when they gathered virgins again, Mordechai Yoshe B'Shar HaMelech, and Mordechai is sitting in the gate of the king. Why didn't you just choose your girl? Isn't that what you did? Made a big party. You liked her. Like, you know, this is not how to be a good husband. I thought we spoke about this, Achi. Like, we spoke about this. You got to give up the other girls. So why is this happening? And what does that have to do with, and Mordechai is sitting in the shiur of the king? How does that follow from this? And they got virgins again, and Mordechai is sitting in the palace of the king. What does that mean? So Gemara says, you know what? Mordechai's going nuts. I'm sorry, not Mordechai, Achashverosh. Achashverosh is very upset. You understand the man's already a paranoid person. Like, severely, severely paranoid. He can't find out what people his wife is from. He really, really wants to know. So he goes to get some advice. Now, if you're going to get advice, you want to, and you're the king of Persia, so you can get the best advice in the world. Who's the best advice in the world? Morty! Morty! He's Isaac Newton crossed with Aristotle. Like, you want to talk to this guy. You want to go to Morty. So he goes to Mordechai, and he says, Mordechai, I can't get this chica to tell me where she's from. What should I do? And Mordechai does the most boss move of all time. And Mordechai says, Ein ha'isha miskana ela b'yera chaverta, which means a woman is only jealous of her friend's thigh, which is brilliant. Because what did Mordechai just say to Achashverosh? He goes, oh, you want her to tell you? No problem. Get more virgins. She'll tell you. Is that genius? Is that genius? What does this prove to Achashverosh? Who's Mordechai on? Team Achi or Team Esther? He's on Team Achi, right? Bros before nieces, clearly. Because he is saying to Achashverosh, don't be nice to Esther. Don't be with Esther. Go take someone else, and that will force her to come to you with what you want. So now he's solidifying his position with Achashverosh as loyal to the king and pushing him away from a person. So obviously you're not trying to curry any favor with the queen. Clearly not. Unbelievable. Now, meanwhile, from Mordechai's perspective, he wants to keep the rapist as far away from her as possible. He's like, go grab a whole bunch of other virgins, take another 4 years. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But from Achashverosh's standpoint, Mordechai's his best friend.
But what doesn't he? I mean, he's the king.
He's the king, yeah.
You already saw what he did with Vashti.
Mm-hmm. Oh, beautiful. That question used to drive me crazy. Thank you so much. Like, listen, we all know Esther doesn't say who she is. Okay, let's take a moment to discuss who Achashverosh is. This is Achashverosh. Honey, where are you from? I don't want to say. No problem. No problem. Bring the pliers. We're going to find out right now. We're going to see how long you can hold out. My guess, 1 finger. That's my guess. Maybe you real tough Sabra, right? Maybe you get 2 fingers. But you're not getting a finger number 3. You're not getting a finger 3. You don't think Achashverosh has ways to make her talk?
Why does he care so much where she's from?
Because it matters where she's from. Because he's got 127 nations. So there are political and geopolitical ramifications for where his wife comes from. It will affect a particular part of the dynasty. So he really needs to know. And this is going to be the mother of the next king of Persia. It matters a lot. So he has ways of making her talk. So how does she get away with it? And the answer is very, very simple, because she has the most compelling answer in the world. She goes, I've never met my father or my mother. What are you talking about? I don't know where I am. I was left on a stoop of the fire store, right? They brought me to the fire, the chief, and they dropped me in a basket. Do you know who she is? She's got the greatest out in the world. She's like, I don't know. Why doesn't Mordechai's response make sense? Oh, because how do I know she's saying the truth?
Because if she doesn't know who she is, then you can bring anyone by her head.
Exactly. Then we'll know whether she's making a show of it or whether it's really true, because this is going to drive her crazy. So if she really does know, she'll say it. This is just a vector to put pressure on her. If the pressure doesn't work and Shitaka doesn't know, then that's what happens. She doesn't know. She maintains the farce.
I mean, okay, so you were an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Not just orphan.
You never knew.
Never knew your father, never knew your mother.
So, Father,
Yeah.
well, who raised you?
Yeah, she knows she was raised in the household of Mordechai. Mordechai's got
Say
a...
that. She why didn't he ask that?
He knows that. That's not secret information. Mordechai has a big, Mordechai's an official from the Judean court. Sure, 100%. I'll prove to you that he knows.
So why doesn't he ask?
I'll prove to you that he
Why
knows.
doesn't he ask Mordechai?
Mordechai doesn't even know this girl. She grows up in his house. It's not, when we say Mordechai is a household, he's got a ranch, he's got 10,000 heads of cattle, and he takes in orphan kids because he's a really nice Jew. There's no relationship here between him and Esther. So I mean, it's nice she grew up in the household, but there's nothing like he doesn't know that they're cousins or anything. But we're going to see that clearly he does know that they're connected. We're going to see very, very close. Because Mordechai, I'll give you the spoiler, but Mordechai tells Esther about Bigsan and Seresh, and Esther tells Achashverosh in the name of Mordechai, which means that the king is hip to the fact that Mordechai and Esther know each other because he tells literally in her name, right? She says it over in his name, so he knows that. So that means that he thinks it's completely innocent, which it isn't, but that's what he thinks. So, listen to this pasuk of Ein Esther Megilas Esther kasher tziva alel Mordechai. Esther doesn't say her people or her birth, just like Mordechai commanded her. Vesmamar Mordechai Esther osa kasher haisa ba'am na'ito. And Esther would do that which Mordechai said, the same as when she was adopted by him. Now, this pasuk is how you say Department of Redundancy Department. You've already told me that Esther doesn't say where she's from. You made that clear. You made it clear like 4 sentences ago, right? You said it's more than 4 sentences ago, but it says Lo higida Esther samavas molataki Mordechai tziva la shalotagid. It's pasuk yud. It's pasuk yud. So that's 10 sentences ago. Then pasuk chaf is Ein Esther Megilas molatavas samakash tziva la Mordechai. So I already know that. Why are you telling it to me again? She's doing the exact same thing that she did before. And the answer is because she's not. Because when you don't raise after the flop, that's not the thing is not raising after the turn. Which means that the strategy has shifted. And she doesn't talk to Mordechai anymore on a deep level. When she was taken to the palace of the king, the purpose of the game was to not tell them that she was royal so that she wouldn't be chosen. Now she's chosen. The strategy shifted. Everything shifted. The pasuk tells you again that she doesn't change the game plan despite the fact that the whole world changed. She stays. And here, there's another huge difference in the words. The first time, when Esther shows up, El Beis HaMelech El Yad Hegeh, Saris HaMelech Shomer Al Nashim, it says, Lo Higida Esther Es Amava Es Molata. Esther didn't say her people or her birth. Here it says, Ein Esther Magedes. Esther won't say. Do you hear a difference between Esther didn't say and Esther won't say? When she showed up at the clerk, and they're letting in, in Ellis Island, all the girls to come by, they say, name, Esther. Nationality, N.A. Parentage, N.A. Medical conditions in the family, N.A. Guess what? They took her in anyway. It wasn't going to go anywhere. They took her in. 4 years later, she's taken to the king, and he marries her before he asks her who she is, because he falls in love with her and puts the stupid thing on her head on the spot. And he says, where are you from? And she goes, I don't know. And he's like, I have your papers. I'm just going to pick up my little trusty beep, beep, beep device, and it's like N-A, 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 N-A. The whole thing said N-A. But it's all, so originally she didn't say, Lo Higida Esther. Esther did not say. It's no longer Lo Higida Esther. It's Ein Esther Magedet, which means Esther won't tell. Esther won't tell. So she went from a didn't say to a won't tell. Now, Bayamim Haim in those days, Mordechai is sitting in the courtyard of the king. There was a plot by Bigsan and Seresh, 2 men of the king's guard, and they decided that they were going to kill King Achashverosh. Now you're going to say, who are Bigsan and Seresh? And why does it have to tell you their names? Why can't it just say, Katzaf, Shnei Sarisei Melech Mishomrei Asaf? 2 men from the Musketeers decided to kill Kennedy. That's all it had to say, but it tells you their names. If it tells you their names, yeah, they're very special. In fact, you know who they are. You know who they are. Because before, in the first chapter, the pasuk laid out that there are two groups of 7. There are 2 groups of 7 officers in the court of Achashverosh. The first one is Karshna Shesar Mosasar Sheshmeres Marsana and Memuchan. No, that's the second one. The first one is Mehuman Bigsa Va'avagsa. No, excuse me. Mehuman Bigsa Va'avagsa Zesar V'Karkas. I'm missing 2. Oh, I missed Bisach Harvona. Mehumad, Bisach Harvona, Big Sav, Vagsa, Zesar, Vacharkas. Sorry, there it is. Those are the 7. Okay? So, again, what's happening here is he has 2 different lists of 7 very important guards, very important officers. One is from this side, and one is from that side, and they're both there. Mehuman is the first one. Big Sa. Who do you think Big Sa is? He's Big Son. Big Sa is Big Son. And you say, okay, I mean, it's kind of close, but like, not really. Like, I don't believe you. I mean, maybe, but like, why would you say that? I'll tell you why I say that. Because later on it says that when we find out that Mordechai told on Big Son and Seresh, it says that Shir Higid Mordechai al Big Son na vaseresh. It doesn't call him Big Son. It doesn't call him Big Son. It calls him Big Son na. So he's called 3 different things in the Megillah. He's called Big Sa, he's called Big Son, and he's called Big Son na. Yeah, pretty cool. I don't know why, but it's the same guy. So one guy is Mehuman Big Sa. He's number 2 in the first list. And the second one is Karshna, Shesar, Admasa, Sarshish. I'll just tell you, it's the second one, Shesar. Shesar. You like word jumbles? Shesar. Seresh. He's got number 2 here, number 2 there. So he's got one guy from this set of guards and one guy from that set of guards. And that's why they're a very effective plot. So they decide they're going to kill him. Vayivada davor Mordechai, and the matter was known to Mordechai. Because the Gemara says that Mordechai sat in the Sanhedrin, so he happened to speak Turkish. So they're sitting there and they're like, and they don't know that Borat is Israeli. And he knows. And therefore, Vatomer Esther Lamela b'shem Mordechai. So he knows, and he tells Esther the queen, and Esther tells the king in the name of Mordechai. There are 3 decisions that are made in this sentence. Number 1, Mordechai finds out. Who does he not tell? The king. He doesn't tell the king. He tells Esther. He does not tell Achashverosh. Now, there are 2 very, very compelling reasons as to why you would tell Esther and Achashverosh. The first is, I'm going to let you decide whether or not you tell him. He can die. You're free. You're gonzo. Like, have a nice life. If you want. That's available to you, number 1. Number 2, do you know who Mordechai can never, ever, ever see without Big Son and Seresh being in the room? Achashverosh. You know the one person who can talk to Achashverosh without Big Son and Seresh knowing what's going on? Esther. Exactly right. And the matter was seeked and found. And they were hanged on a tree. And it was written down in the book of the days before the king. Wow, we should really go a little bit more. Can we go a little bit more? Can we go a little bit more? We're going to go a little bit more. And chapter 3. Was after these things. The king raised Haman, the son of Hamdasa, the Agagite, and he lifted him up. And he lifted his seat from all of the courtiers that were in his palace. Now you recognize that this is several things. It's not one thing, it's several. First of all, Haman's not Haman. He's Haman ben Hamdasa ha'agagi. That's 3 data points, not 1. He's Haman, he's ben Hamdata, and he's ha'agagi. Surely you don't need to tell me his middle name and his last name. But you did. So you did have to, number 1. Number 2, Gidal vayinasehu vayasem es kisomi al kol asherim asher ito. Which means he didn't elevate him once, he elevated him thrice. First, it was Gidal HaMelech Achashverosh es Haman, which means he made Haman bigger. Vayinas Ehu lifted him again, Vayasem es kisomi al kol asherim asher ito, and then put him out of the category. So first, he was the 7th guy. He was the lowest guy in the totem pole. Because we said originally, Karshna Seisar Basa Sarshis Meres Marshana Memuchan. Memuchan is the least of 7. And it says that he answered first, Vayomer Memuchan Lefnei HaMelech V'Hasarim, because Hedyo Kofetz Barosh. The idiot is always the one who has to talk the most. So he jumps and he talks, which is why he ends up dying. But that's Haman. So he was the 7th guy. He was the smallest guy. And first it's Gidal. He made him bigger. After it was Gidal, it was Vayinas Ehu. He lifted him up until he was the highest of the MVPs. And then Vayasem he took him out of the category of Sarim and put him in a totally different category, all his own. And if you want to know just how all his own the category was, and all of the servants of the king that are in the gate of the king have to bow to Haman because the king said so. And Mordechai will not bow.
But there's a disconnect from this
Yeah.
from B to C. He doesn't do anything about Mordechai. I mean,
Who doesn't do it to the king?
yeah.
You're saying he doesn't pay him back?
At all.
Yeah, he wrote it in the book, and he said, have a nice day. He's a politician. He'll get to it later, or not.
So what did Haman do to deserve it?
It doesn't say what Haman did to deserve it, but I can tell you what I think Haman did to deserve it. Haman gave Achashverosh the greatest gift. What's Achashverosh's greatest gift? Esther. Esther. And who did Haman get rid of? That heinous business. Oh my gosh. Do you understand how horrible she was? Do you understand the misery that woman was? That Vashti. Can you imagine being married to the wicked witch of the West, and then finally you get the stones to see her head off of her shoulders, and then you get to marry Princess Diana. I mean, it's like this is the greatest girl in the world, and she makes chicken soup. Like, I can't believe I spent all those years with that horrible, horrible person. I won't say what Vashti is, but like we know what she is, right? Right? So who's the reason that Achashverosh was freed from that evil, conniving thing and brought to this glory? Haman is the reason. He has unbelievable, which means that he loves Esther so much that he elevates Haman to more, important than anybody else. Now, do you think Haman understands why he's so important? Of course he knows why he's so important. So who's the reason that Haman is so important? Esther. Haman loves Esther. Haman loves Esther. It's hard to know who loves Esther more. Who loves Esther more? Hitler or Harvey Weinstein? That's mamash who she's stuck with. Who are the people she hates most in the world? Achashverosh and Haman. mamash. But she is their favorite people. She's their favorite person. So we're going to go for 5 minutes and then we will stop. So everybody's bowing and Mordechai will not bow. And the Malbim points out, why do you have to say Asher B'Shar HaMelech in the gate of the king? You just say V'chol Abdei HaMelech, Kor Mishachavim Laman. All the people have to bow to Haman. Like, I get it. So no, that's not the point. The point is that even a king that would say that you have to bow to my ambassador, you have to bow to my chief of staff or my secretary of defense, but not in the Oval Office. You don't bow to Sec Def in the office that has no corners. There's only one guy you bow to by the Resolute desk, right? That's not happening. But no, that's not what he does. That's not what he does. In the Shar HaMelech, you bow down to Haman. Now this is very significant. Listen to why. Why would Achashverosh, who's a paranoid person, why would he give all this power to Haman and tell everybody to bow down to Haman? Why would he do such a thing? Doesn't that take away from his power? Doesn't that take away from his kingness? I mean, he doesn't like sharing. We've seen that he doesn't like sharing. So let's see what happens, mamish, right now. And all of the other king's officers that are in the gate of the king said to Mordechai, why are you not doing what the king said? And it was when they said it to him every day. He never listened to them. And they told Haman to know, to see. Leros to see Hayamdu, would they stand? If Mordechai, the words of Mordechai, because he told them he was a Jew. I'm sorry, that's not a coherent sentence. You wanted to know whether Mordechai's statement would stand because he was a Jew? Meaning, if he was an Eskimo, we wouldn't have told on him because, nobody hates the Eskimos. But these Jewish people, they're very uppity. Is that what it's saying? The reason that they went to tell Haman is because Mordechai's a Jew? That's not what the pasuk is saying. The pasuk is saying Mordechai had a response. They said to Mordechai, Madua toveris mitzvahs hamelech. Why aren't you listening to the king? And Mordechai had a response. And his response is, oh, no, I don't have to bow to him. They said, why don't you have to bow to him? He said, because I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. We don't have to bow. What do you mean you don't have to bow? Jews are allowed to bow to people. Jews bow to kings. You're supposed to bow to the king. That's right, I will bow to the king, but not to him. Not to him. Well, what's the difference? You see, Haman is not a political leader. Achashverosh is the political leader. Achashverosh is the executive. Why are you making everyone bow to Haman? Haman is the national figure. Haman is the glue that keeps us all together. He's the neshama of the empire. He's Cardinal Richelieu. He's not King Louis. I mean, obviously, I'm the one who decides when we go to war and with whom. But the cardinal is a symbol of unity for all of our 127 nations. So we all bow to Mickey Mouse. Haman is Mickey Mouse. He is a totem. Haman is the man of das. Now, we already seen it in the Megillah that there's a difference between das and din, because din means law. Das does not mean law. Now, people tend to translate das as religion, but that's silly because it doesn't say Kichein devar hamelech lifnei kol yodei das vadin, that the king was consulting the College of Cardinals when he wanted to make a political decision. That's not what it's saying. Das means culture, the way we do things. When we talk, for example, about the Gemara asks, the Gemara draws a difference when it comes to das Yehudis and das Moshe. Which means, well, you're telling me there's a difference between the religion of the Jews and the religion of Moshe? Like, I thought we took his religion. What it's saying is, there's the way of Moshe and there's the way of the Jew. Because the way of the Jew, the way that we live, is far beyond what it is that Moshe established 3,300 years ago. There's das Yehudis. There's the way that we do things. There's what we consider to be hair covering and what we consider not to be hair covering. There's what we consider to be kosher and what we consider to not be kosher. And that's us. That's how we decide to operate. That's very much on us. So the king is really interested in what the people think, the culture, and that's the das. So there's das and there's din. And he consults both the lawyers and the spin doctors before he does any moves in the beginning. And you know who Haman is? Haman is Ben Hamadasa. Haman is the man of the das. Haman is Mr. Das. Haman is Mr. Philosophy, Mr. Culture, Mr. We keep you all together. That's who Haman is. Well, if he's a symbol for all of us and we are all equal, then when Mordechai says, you know, I love the country, rah, rah, star-spangled banner, my country 'tis of thee, I'll pledge allegiance all day long, but you understand that I can't bow because I'm not allowed in my religion, so I hope you're okay with that. And so, absolutely, Mordechai, that's no problem. That's no problem. We're not making, you bow to the king, that's fine. You don't have to bow to Haman. If this is against your religion, we don't do that. As you know, v'hashasiyach hadas ein ones. You do you. You do you. Which means that Mordechai has a very good excuse to not bow to Haman. He says, sorry, lo siento, but I'm not allowed, so I don't have to. So they went to Haman, l'ros hayamdu divrei Mordechai, to see if Mordechai's legs would stand. Ki higidlo asher hu Yehudi, because he said he was a Jew. They didn't know Mordechai was a Jew. First of all, there's a chai in his name. Everyone knows who he is. Meaning, it's saying the reason that I don't have to bow is because I'm a Jew. And guess what? He's right. He's right. So he doesn't have to bow, which is why he didn't get his head chopped off right away. How do you think Haman felt about it? You know, if one guy doesn't have to bow to me, they're all laughing at me. Right? Is that not so? They're mamish all laughing at me. So he doesn't have to bow to me, and the other guys are bowing and going, we know you're not real. Oh, man, and now that hurts. That hurts. And when they, Vayar Haman ki Mordechai koreo mishtachavelo, and Haman saw that Mordechai wouldn't bow to him. He never saw that Mordechai wouldn't bow to him before? Come on. You know Haman's a really smart guy, right? He's very savvy.
So the irony. He said kill Vashti.
Yeah.
People see them all revolt.
Yeah.
And he has the same issue with Mordechai.
He has the same issue with Mordechai? Well, that's what he's going to say, by the way. That's what he's saying to Achashverosh. So Haman sees Mordechai won't bow to him. I'm going to finish. He sees that Mordechai won't bow to him. What do you mean he sees? It means he can't ignore it anymore. He saw it before too. But every time I walk through the room, everybody bows down, and there's always little Morty over there who doesn't bow down. I can ignore that. I'm going to pretend I don't even see him. There's 14,000 grander people than he is that are bowing when I walk in. It's okay. But now they come to my face and they say, you know, Morty hasn't been bowing down to you. He says he's got a dispensation. Did you check that with the clerk of courts? Vayar Haman ki Mordechai koreo mishtachavelo. Now he sees. He can't ignore it. Vayimalei Haman chema. And Haman is filled with rage, with heat. Vayivez beinav. And it's such a waste. Lishloach yad b'Mordechai levado, to kill Mordechai alone. You understand he can't kill Mordechai. He's too small. He's too small. You can't kill him. How does it look? How does it look when Joe Biden calls in an airstrike against the guy that started, Let's Go Brandon? You can't kill Joe the plumber. You can kill Gaddafi, but you can't kill Joe because you look terrible because you're stupid. You're punching down. How could Haman kill Mordechai? Oh, you're killing Morty? Is it because he didn't bow to you? Polacito. He would look terrible. It's denigrated in his eyes to kill Mordechai alone. Mordechai. Because they told him Mordechai's nation. You don't think Haman knew who Mordechai was? This is the biggest. Adolf Hitler doesn't know Mr. Netanyahu? You don't think he's got his own deck of cards? He knows. Am Mordechai, the Gemara says, doesn't mean Jews. Am Mordechai, the nation of Mordechai. The rabbis. The rabbis. That's Mordechai's nation. There's Mordechai's people. That's the Yids. I hate them. I want to kill all them. And then there's Mordechai's peeps. You know who's Mordechai's peeps? The Vad HaRabbonim. The Vad HaRabbonim. Vayivakesh Haman lashmir es kol HaYehudim. Asher b'chol machus Achashverosh. Am Mordechai. And it just so happens that Haman wants to kill every Jew on planet Earth. And they are the people of Mordechai. And now I have an inn, and it's going to be a great inn. That's the perfect place to stop. Have a great night.